Hi everyone, this is Elisa. I wanted to do a quick video to help support you as you move through these standards. Occasionally we end up thinking about, of course, our students during standards. They are at the basis of everything we do. These standards, however, if you think back to your teaching credential that you originally got, say for general ed or special ed, there were certain standards about what you did. And so these standards are about what you are doing. So what we've tried to do, here's standard 14 that's in the module we're working on right now, is that it is so common, understandable, that when we read, I'll scroll down again, when we just read something like this, we think about, oh, are we teaching our students how to do that? Because that's where our mind goes. It's always on our students. However, for credentialing, what we're looking at is how we do these things. So these are teacher-directed standards. So let's look at this one, 14.2, develop and maintain student competency and attendance records. We know you're busy. We know you're intelligent. We feel that your mind is probably going to go to, oh, I need to teach students how to keep track of their attendance, etc. But that's not exactly what this standard is about. So what we did was on each page for each standard, we said, okay, in interpreting it, how can we help people get to it as quickly as possible? They're busy people, snippety snap, let's go. So here's 14.2, that same standard, and we said, okay, so suppose you say, you know what, I'm going to use that as my looking back for this standard and say how I do this. These are to help you stay focused on the fact that this is what you're doing. So it's not about teaching students how to keep their grades. So it's like, okay, well, what is this standard trying to get at? So here are the questions. How do you carefully and effectively maintain student grades? Maybe it's an online system. Maybe it's something that you developed yourself. How do you maintain student attendance records such that they follow policies? Add evidence of how you've done this in your practice. So what we're trying to do is really help you get to the real core of what these standards are without you. I don't know about you, but when I read a standard sometime, I'm like, what are they trying to get at? Because it's not really clear to me. And so we thought, well, let's help them. We're sitting here working with these standards. Let's help them get to the real heart of that standard. So then you can go down, and here's a looking back. So it's like, okay, well, for other people, the questions may not help. We're trying to reach different learning styles. So here's substandard 14.2, and here's an example. This person said, you know, here's a screenshot of School Loop. I've attached a screenshot of the Infinite Campus roster, the attendance module, and then here's how the screenshots they gave attached to how they maintain their records in 14.2. So we're going to sort of ask you to really take a look at this, because it makes me as sad as it makes you when I have to return something and say, this is great. Unfortunately, it does not address this exact standard. Maybe the person wrote about how they teach their students to do it, and it's like, oh, I so wish with all my heart that I could say, yeah, great, complete, and I can't, because what we've done is say, we're not going to ask you about all these standards. We're going to ask you about two, one looking back and one looking forward, and that's going to support everything about standard 14, because the last thing I want to do is ask you to write about each and every one of these. So I hope this helps. I know you're smart people, but you're also busy people. So I'm just trying to streamline it for you. Before you go straight to, say, the standard checklist and say, oh, okay, here's what it is, take a quick look at these, make sure you're really on target, go in, give us what you got, good to go. So thank you. Sorry this is so long, and I hope this helps a little bit.